All right, here we go. The long-awaited, not asked for update for July. We're going to go over the farm. We're going to show you what's going on in the greenhouse. And, for the few people that have been bugging and asking how things are going, I'm going to let you know. Stick with me. All right, here's my garlic patch. 1,500 garlic in here, and they're looking fantastic. Like these are nice and thick. There's a bunch in here that are like thicker than my thumb. It's I'm looking very forward. I've got the scapes off these, or most of them anyway. Oops, missed that one. And we've been selling those, but I'm super excited about getting these harvested. Alrighty, so been at the farm since 5:45 this morning. I actually came out by myself today. Kaylin was up, and she is cleaning a ton of microgreen trays, and then she's going to fill those with soil and get those watered in so I can get stuff seeded out later today. We are currently doing just about 60 trays a week, and I'm having a tough time keeping up with the demand. So I guess I'll have to start seeding out twice in the same week, but that's not a big deal. My oldest, Riley, is she's working on a bunch of stuff for social media. She does all of our social media. She's also been hired by the Lacombe Farmers Market to do all of their social media, and she helps out a couple other vendors with her wisdom and advice. She's taking care of the market this afternoon, so she'll be getting stuff ready in and around the house. And I ran up north to pick up my helper from our potato farmer. So I've been working with his son, and he's been helping out a lot. And what are we now? We're, 7 o'clock-ish type of thing. So I'll show you what's going on. This is, from a previous video, I had showed this just coming up. And this is our loose leaf blend. It is an absolutely gorgeous blend of lettuce. There's five different types in there. I've got 125 feet of that we have already harvested once. Now, one thing that I have found is that we've had more rain than what we're used to around here, and I have had a couple of rot issues. One of the varieties in there, I think it's the Lola Rosa, doesn't do well when there's too much moisture. So as much as this looks like a thing of absolute beauty, I do believe that is going to come out today, because I am running out of rows, and I have a whole bunch of stuff that I need to get in successionally so that I continue to have harvests all the way through until into September, when we get our first frost. This row here at the original, it was half a row of arugula and half a row of radish, and I had the flea beetles absolutely eat everything down. So these tiny little holes here, those are from flea beetles. Now, instead of putting row cover on, like a smart person, I did not, and I lost my entire first planting, which really screwed up my successional sowings. So what ended up happening was I had a fantastic radish harvest in the greenhouse, no flea beetle issues whatsoever, got my customers all used to it, ended up, I guess, kind of in a way, like I trained the customers that, hey, this was all going to be ready, and then, it wasn't, because it got eaten. So I had a big gap in between my next sowing of radishes, and whatever, live and learn. We have been spraying this with neem oil and water, and that has worked fantastic. For any of you gardeners or growers out there, if you can find yourself online some cold pressed neem oil, I do not know of an insect that enjoys it. And it's just quite as simple as mixing that up, and like a liter of that is going to go a long, long ways. I think you use a tablespoon per gallon of water. They absolutely hate it, and as you can tell, there is a little bit of damage on the cotyledons, but these radishes are going to come up absolutely fine. Over here is our baby carrots. I have just started harvesting, so I just took one row, maybe that's 10 feet worth, and they are, oops, I missed one. They're a wonderful size, and they're sweet, They're delicious. I'm incredibly happy with how these have come along. Again, I've got 125 feet of that, but that is nowhere near enough. This was our main season crop. Napoli is the name of the variety. Not that I guess that matters to most people, but my plan is to have another 2 or 3 rows of carrots sown. What are we now? We're July 13th. So that means that they'll be poking their heads out of the ground by the end of July. So that gives me all of August and September. They can absolutely handle a frost or a little snow or whatever nature throws our way. And that will give me a lot of fresh crops to take into the fall sales and the fall markets. And then whatever doesn't get sold by then will get harvested, will get washed properly, dried, stored in cold food storage, so that my goal is to have as much produce right into the winter markets and into December and January as humanly possible. This was my sowing of baby beets, and they are doing awesome. We started harvesting them. Let's see if we can show you. So again, like that's a decent size. They've gotten to the point where, you know, I'd almost argue that they're not baby beet size anymore. It doesn't matter. They're delicious. The tops have been selling pretty good. We have a lot of the Ukrainian communities around here, and a lot of their dishes take beet greens, and they're just super healthy. So anybody that's into smoothies, it's just a good, flavorful, healthy addition. I had a second sowing of main season beets in here, and I'd split it up into 3. So there was cylindrical, there was the round reds, and then I also did the round golds. I have really no explanation for why my germination rate was, you know, worse than my English marks in high school. Like, I have no idea. Perhaps I didn't keep it moist enough, you know, during the germination stage, but like, incredibly disappointing. And I mean, to the point where I took the rototiller and I tilled everything in. I mean, I cannot take a row and have 10% of it as a crop. I can't do it. I don't have enough room. So I said, to heck with that. I got rid of all of that, and then I re-sowed. Now, I've been learning so much about my cedar. I might do a video on that just for the folks that care. It's nowhere near as scary as what I originally thought it was. Beet seeds have traditionally been a thorn in the side of market gardeners, simply because the size of them and shape of them vary so dramatically. So with the seed rollers, they'll have little holes or indentations in them. Some seeds fit in there great, and other ones just flat out don't come out. Or if you use one that's holes are good enough for the biggest seeds, then all of a sudden you're overseeding in areas, and I'll show you what I mean here. This was one of the beets that obviously survived my tilling, right? As you can see. I ran out of beet seeds for this bed, so I just popped in carrots down a row here. But you'll see that there's some incredible sparsities, you know, going on in here. And then you'll also see where it is just packed, like arguably too close. But the nice thing with beets is they'll just push each other off to the side, and I will pull the biggest ones and have that as a harvest while the other ones continue to bulk up for the next week or so. This bed here was actually radishes for half of it, and then I believe I have some footage from yesterday. We tore out all of the spinach that was in here. It was just getting too tall. It wasn't the quality that I wanted anymore to give my customers. So I did sow some spinach in here. I tried to space it a little bit differently. I didn't get the germination that I wanted, but I'll see how this goes, because when this variety of spinach, which is called Space, it is very, very bolt resistant. I mean, I have had this variety grow up to, like, say 4 feet tall, and it still doesn't have seeds on it. These will bulk up, and these leaves will end up being bigger than my hand. So I think what I wanted to do with this was I wanted to try and just harvest each leaf. It might take a little bit more time, but I think I might be able to get a little better quality. I only planted these in 5 rows versus I think I was doing 9 rows when I was doing it as a baby leaf, roughly this size. And over here, what we did yesterday, when I say we, I mean my daughter Kaylin, we had 16 or 1700 beets that I had started in trays, and if I have any footage of that, I'll show you. But she transplanted out, she probably knocked off about 1400 of them yesterday, which is music to my ears. I'll show you the other row that she got those in. So this row again is going to be beets, for the remainder of this year, and spinach down this way. This row here, I'm kind of disgusted by this. I purchased a bunch of the colored carrot seeds, the different varieties, and they're expensive each one. And I seeded everything out, and the germination was absolute crap. Like, it's just terrible. But I couldn't bring myself to just till it in and plant again. I don't know why. I'm thinking of processing, and the pickling and how cool those jars would look with some colored carrots in there. So whatever. I kept them in here. I kind of feel like it's a bit of a waste. Like, out of this row, if I get $200-300 worth of profit, I'll be surprised. But I honestly don't think that I'm going to grow the colored carrots in the future. I just can't. I can't have a row produce that little for me. The Swiss chard I started from seed. Hey, Mr. Shadow. And they are looking absolutely lovely. At this stage right now, I will never sell as much as I have growing here. I have found that Swiss chard does not enjoy the sunshine when it isn't living. So once I harvest this, we'll get that market out of it where it still looks nice, and then that's about it. It starts wilting. It's still absolutely fine nutritionally and taste wise. I do try to market it and find people that like to saute it down. That way it's fresh, crispness, the crispnessicity of it won't be so much of a factor. They're just going to saute that down anyway. Past here is the kale that I also started in transplants. And I don't know if you know this or not, but not a lot of people like kale. I don't live in California, right, where everybody puts that and avocado on some whole grain toast and talks about saving the environment. I live in Alberta, where people have a shot of oil with their coffee in the morning. They swear about Justin Trudeau, and they hate kale. But it makes nice table garnish, and I do have a chef that likes to dehydrate it and make his own kale chips. I just tried to fill in stuff as I could. I did a very heavy seeding of dill. I'm going to come through here when I have time and whatever, but take chunks out and transplant them into other areas. This is my little herb area down here. My oregano is doing fantastic. The parsley's coming on really nice. This is my lavender in here. I'm very disappointed in that. I really wanted that for some of my own teas. The lavender, the chamomile, and lemon balm mix is just so good for my brain. It relaxes me. It minimizes anxiety. It can lift you out of the dumps, if you're a little bit down. So the lemon balm is doing fantastic. I will harvest a bunch of this soon and get that dried so it has a chance to regrow. The thyme is looking phenomenal. And then this was just some volunteer dill that I'm keeping because I do sell a lot of pickling kits to my customers, and obviously having the flowers and pickling kits is a big plus. I'm trying to remember what was in this row. We harvested it and it was out and done, so I decided to seed it out with more of our loose leaf blend and see if by starting that fresh I eliminate some of those rot issues that I was getting in that gorgeous looking row over there. We shall see. This is it's a beautiful crop because it's like a 27-day crop to baby leaf lettuce. And then obviously you can let it go more than baby leaf and you should still have. The other 3 years I've grown this, that was totally harvestable and there was nothing, kind of rotten or wilting in hiding in there. So we shall see. We shall see. What else will I show you? I have a little bit of room here, so this might be where some more of my dill gets transplanted. This was some of the head lettuce. This is baby iceberg lettuce. I'll show you the adult iceberg lettuce up there. 100% not worth growing in my opinion, on this scale and in my context. So if you love iceberg lettuce, please don't think that I pooped on your parade. I'm just saying that it rots incredibly easily once it gets some rain on it. I will err on the side of the Salanova blends, and the reason for that is because it is a sturdy leaf. It isn't like a mescaline mix. It isn't like the loose leaf in that it is very delicate. And once it sits in a bag for a while or sits in a cooler or a chef's restaurant, it's very difficult to have it stand up on the plate. It still tastes great and it looks great, but this gives height. I don't know if you can tell that these are just thicker leaves and frizzy, and the textures and the flavors of it. It's not a bad tasting lettuce. I think the big thing that I like about it is when your food looks good, it's gonna taste good, and this will regrow. Do we have any examples here? We cut a bunch of these, right, and then they just start regrowing. So out of the Salanova head lettuce like that, I tend to not cut it as head lettuce because I have a very finite amount of time to sell that. I prefer to cut it a little higher up so it can regrow, and I'll get 3 cuts out of that by the time I'm ready to switch it over. Here's the iceberg lettuce. What are you? You are gone is what you are. Get. All right, so here's what I'm saying. It gets a little moisture on it. Ugh, look at that. Look at that loveliness. What a waste of space. But at the end of the day, that's how you learn. I didn't know that. I mean, when I get iceberg lettuce from the from the grocery store, it's fantastic stuff. This is fantastic. Oh, it's so good on a burger and it's crunchy and this and that. But I mean, look at how many have rotted. That's completely unsellable. I mean, I'll take a head that size and I'll have enough for like 2 sandwiches for me. So again, this is just something that done. After this year, I will not be growing that again. Here's my little patch of spring onions, green onions, whatever you call them, wherever you're from. They're looking fantastic. I rely a lot on mentors and friends that know more than I do. And I will give a shout out and a huge amount of props to one of my best friends, Willie Coleman. He is an allium master. He has watched tons of videos. He's grown them incredibly successfully for years. And in the winter, him and I were game planning on my onions specifically. How to start them, when to start them, how dense to plant them, what's their characteristics, what can they handle. And he implored me to take a 72 cell tray and put 8, 9, 10 seeds per 72, and then once they grew up, just pop those in. He said it's going to save me an enormous amount of time from teasing them out and planting them individually like this. And he was correct. It did save me a lot of time because I tried it, and I'll show you. My concern was that I watch a lot of market gardeners because that's what I do. And every single one of them planted them individually after they had started them from seed. And I kept wondering, there's got to be a reason. Maybe it's because they're straighter. Maybe they're more uniform. And now after seeing the results, I'm going to say that I think those people waste a lot of time. Here's the bunches that I started in seed packs, 72 cells. All right, this one maybe has a little bit more in it. That one has maybe a little bit less, right? And no, they aren't all the identical size. Some of them got a little bit more nutrient and moisture. Some of them are a little thinner. Some of them are a little thicker. You know, at the end of the day, I've asked my customers, they don't give a shit. They don't care. My onions aren't all pencil diameter. Said nobody ever. So I can now just harvest one bundle of those when we have an order online, or I can harvest 5 or 6 of them per market so that I'm not having to harvest a whole bunch of stuff. I harvest that, I cut the roots off, I give it a spray, boom. That's it. That's it for my processing time. I'm not harvesting 8 or 9 single ones, cutting the roots off those singly, then elastic banding those together, pulling off some leaves that don't look great. Willie, thank you, buddy. And he actually amazed the farmer here, because the farmer here thought there's no way that this was going to work. And then he came up the other day and was like, that's the smartest way I've ever seen. Next year, that is exactly how I'll be doing all of those. This is my basil field right here. I still have quite a few other basil plants that I want to get in. I have some purple basil that I also want to add in here. And then I will still have roughly a half a row. I think this is really my only dead space at this point in time. But I also have an enormous amount of kohlrabi and stuff to put in. So, all right. So yeah, I was saying that yesterday Kaylin popped like 1,400 beet transplants in, and again, this is 3 different varieties. So we're gonna have our cylindrical, we're gonna have our normal whatever Detroit red, and then I think somewhere in here it switches up to the gold ones. Yeah, right here. So it's pretty easy to see because the leaves really don't have any red in them, and the stems are a gorgeous yellow. So very proud of her for knocking that off yesterday. Here's our beans, and again, this was a conversation that I had with Mr. William Coleman. You know, the market garden books and everything say you're supposed to do, I think it was 2 rows on a 30-inch bed. And Willie was like, nah, put 9 rows in. So I think I met in the middle and did, I think I did 5 rows. I think, oh, and I've still got some, this is amaranth right here. And when that goes to flower, I will have a million issues next year. So out it comes. I've been really, really good this year. I don't know if you've noticed about trying to stay on top of the weeds. I've paid help. I've been out here on my hands and knees, and all of this is hand weeding. I had, that's just what you got to do. But anyway, I've got 2 different varieties of beans in here, and they're just sort of your normal, whatever, green beans. Something that I really like about that crop is that I can bag it and freeze it. And I guarantee that later in the year, my family will absolutely love it. Green beans is one of our favorites. We can have that as a side dish 3-4 times a week without getting sick of it. And I know our customers will like it too. Behind here is my rutabaga. So I did an enormous amount of stuff, produce planning for my winter crops. We had a very, very tough last year. In that, when our crops were done in the field, so was a lot of our profit. And this is what we're doing year round and trying to do year round. So the kids and I struggled there last winter, and it's all good. It's part of the learning process, but we cannot have another winter like we had. So I have things for storage that should get us through into the Februaries and into the March, which will allow me to have things started so that I have a continuous succession of vegetables to grow. You can see amaranth in here too, so that's going to have to get gone through today. But the rutabaga seems to be doing well, and I'll pop over and I'll show you what's going on the other side of that. All right, here's my leeks, and I see a couple of rogue radishes that we were harvesting yesterday, so there we go. So I did the, I guess whatever it is, typical. Took my hoe, put a hole 6, 7, 8 inches down, and then had my daughter come behind me and pop these in. I believe we're very, very close to 1,000 of these. I did not fertilize these anywhere near like I should have when they were in their seedling form. And I will learn from that. They're nowhere near as thick as I would like them right now. But considering we are in the middle of July, and this is a vegetable that I can harvest into October, into November, depending on the weather, I have plenty of time for those to bulk up. So at the end of the day, I will have learned to apply that better for next year. This area here is disappointing to me. I had started zucchini. I had planned on having 65 feet of zucchini and 65 feet of patty pan squash. I chitted them all a la Terry King. I had them sprouted out with a nice little root coming out. I went and popped them out. I put the irrigation line in and I turned it on. And I planted one every third drip so that I made sure that they were where there was going to be moisture. And I don't know what happened. I honestly don't. Maybe I let them get dry at that stage. I don't know. But 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 zucchinis. So yes, I'll still get zucchinis, but just not the volume that I was looking for, which is okay because the lady that we hired as our delivery driver, we actually bought a lot of vegetables off of her and her father last year, and I asked them to go nuts on zucchinis, and they have. So actually tomorrow they're going to be dropping off a bunch of, nice baby zooks for me at market. So not a total failure. Now I think you can see down here, I decided while these were young, I thought I'd get a quick shoulder crop on the shoulders. So we had radishes all the way. That's still yummy. I'll eat that in a little bit. This is the last of the bit that needs to be harvested. I don't know that I would do that again. They do grow fairly tall, so it's not very fair to the little squash seedlings to try to compete with something that grows as fast as these do. Having said that, I did not have a lot of success with the squash, so at least I got some money out of this row, and I got myself a free lesson. So this next row is parsnips, and again, I had a bit of trouble with the germination. I have 3 rows in here, which it doesn't really look like, and I do need to weed that. Oh, get out and die. But again, winter storage crop, so something that is very, very important to me. The next row over is celeriac. It's a large, it almost looks like a rutabaga in a way. It's an ugly bugger, but it has the taste of celery, and from everything that I've looked up, it has fantastic storage capabilities. So I have all of that row, and then the back half of my last row of onions. Now my onions is a thing of pride for me this year. I started, a little over 8,000 seeds. So I think it was 4,000 storage onions. Patterson is the variety on those. Rosa de Milano is our red that I started 1,000 of. That's these guys here, and they're starting to bulb up quite nicely. I did a couple thousand Elsa Craigs for a large sweet onion. I did 1,000 shallots. Ambition was the variety on those, and I'm not going to take any credit for this. Again, Willie convinced me on like the 28th or 9th of December to seed out all my onions, and I'll see if I can find any pictures of them. But I was putting like 1,000 seeds, 500 to 1,000 seeds per 10-20 tray. And I had people tell me that those are going to choke themselves out. I had people tell me half of those are going to die. I had people tell me that you're not going to have any big ones out of there. It's too close. The only person that said, don't worry about it, it's going to work just fine, was William. And I don't know if you think that these look bad, or to me, these are the nicest onions that I've ever had at this time of year. Ever. Bar none. So, I don't know. It's a space saver. My one mistake with that is that I didn't fertilize them while they were in the tray anywhere near enough. I will never ever make that mistake with seedlings again. I will make sure that they get fed until they're in their forever home. It wasn't fair of me, and when we put these in, I had brought them out to the farm, and I was planning on getting these in on the 14th of April. And by the time I got all of this rototilled, shoveled, raked, and my beds made, I think they went in the field about a month after that. So they sat in those trays, and they got watered, and that's it. They shrunk, they got yellowed leaves, they were pathetic. When I put them in the ground, I was brokenhearted, and I just was hoping and praying that they would bounce back, and they did. Now, I have hit these with a nitrogen fertilizer a few times, a la Willie. He said, you need to feed these. Nitrogen feeds greens. The more leaves on an onion, the bigger the bulb's going to be. And these are already looking absolutely fantastic to me. So I believe this one here is the shallots. Yeah, because that's the shape of them. So there you have it. I have 2 rows that you can kind of see some weeds poking up. I have our part-time market helper, Jazzy. She's coming out this afternoon, and she is going to knock off these last 2 rows of onion weeding while I'm busy, working away on some other things. Here's the radish leavings. We just put it here. This is where the farmer said I could kind of start a compost pile, so that again, that can kind of go back out into our rows. I'm going to show you a little bit here that of his amazing stuff. This is his celery. This is now ready to rock and roll. Get you in the light. I busted a piece or 2 off of here and had a nibble. It is delicious. The kohlrabi is all banging. What a beautiful size that is. And then the successional sowings. So we are going to have this stuff to sell all the way through to the first frost. Here's the last batch of kohlrabis that he's got put in. Here's the corn that he is super excited about. It's an incredibly sweet variety. These rows in here were direct seeded, just out under nature. So no cover or anything. At the same time, the rows with the tassels were direct sown and then put underneath a low polytunnel. And look at the difference. These are just starting to tassel. Okay, these guys are full up, pollinating each other, and ready to go. And they are a full 2 to 3 feet taller. And that is literally just the difference of putting a small hoop house, polytunnel, tunnel culture, whatever you want to call it, over top. Kept the soil warmer, it got those growing faster, and we've had some really, really warm days. So the heat units have been a lot higher than they would have been normally in a year for us, and they're just looking absolutely fantastic. So you're basically looking at 10,000 ears of corn, and I cannot wait to start taking those to market. This is the farmer's garlic. I thought I was big ball and doing 1,500 garlic. Well, you're looking at 9,000 garlic here. And then on the other side here, those are the single bulbets that he has planted, so that next year he can replenish all of his stock. We got a bunch of sunflowers and flowers here. Let's see what else is going on. Here's his thornless raspberries that are looking absolutely phenomenal. And then his lettuce heads. Again, just looking excellent. Successional sowings, and I think there is even another succession to go in for, the end of the year. The Brussels sprouts area, and I'm sure that this area in here will get used for something as well. So there is a not very short walkthrough of the field and what's growing on out in my neck of the woods. I apologize to the few friends that I have, because I really haven't talked to them much, and it sucks. I need to bounce those ideas off, but it's just that we're doing 12 markets a week. Right now we have 2 days of deliveries, and I still have to be out here and farm. Just to come out and do a quick little harvest, there's 2 or 3 hours right there of me harvesting, cleaning it, drying it, bagging it, getting it home, getting it in the cooler, and I turn around and go, really? Is that all I did this morning? So I apologize to the few friends of mine that I haven't talked to as much as I normally do in the winter. just understand that I still love you. It's just that this is our time to make as much as we can and set the groundwork and the foundation so that we don't ever have another winter like we had. So here's his cut flower area, and it's coming along beautifully. So in another couple or 3 weeks, this is all going to be ready to harvest and take to market. Oh, I'm going to show you the asparagus field here real quick. You see that? Isn't that amazing? So next year this is going to be the 5th year of this asparagus patch. This is huge. This asparagus patch is probably double my entire growing area. And yeah, I don't know if it's the variety. I think it's called Millennium. I'll have to ask the farmer, but it was the least stringy and fibrous asparagus that I've ever eaten, and I could not bring enough of this to market to satisfy our customers. I think we went through something ridiculous, like 500 pounds in a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then the farmer was concerned with the thinness of the stalks coming up. He wanted the energy to go back down in so that next year and the following years, like it's non-stop. So put the kibosh on harvesting after, well, quite literally after about 10 days, 14 days after we started. And I don't know what to tell you. I'm super looking forward to next year selling that. So again, I've probably rambled on for way too long. I apologize to any of you that got annoyed. Thanks to those of you that did stick around to see what's happening and what's growing. We've been working our asses off, and I certainly hope that I learn enough to make this pay off. I am getting better at this game, though. I'm not going to lie. I am getting better. So anyway, big loves and hugs to all of you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. I do watch quite a few of your videos, those of you that are on YouTube. I don't comment on a lot because usually I'm elbow deep planting microgreens and that type of thing. I wish it was like Facebook where I could give you a thumbs up and you could see that I watched, but you know, whatever. Wish in one hand and crap in the other, and see which gets filled up first. Anyway, I will try to get you guys another video of the greenhouses. I would like to show you the farmer's greenhouse because we have a very exciting news that we're going to be able to lease that, and we're going to be prepping some rows in there so that we can get our fall crops in, and I will be able to have living plants in there all the way into December. So enough out of me. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you on the next one.